All right, everybody, Wes here. As you may have saw on the Facebook page and Instagram, I've got some changes to my truck. I no longer had the Rebel Off-Road half rack and the Top Oak Vision large tent on my truck. Reason for that is because I stumbled across a new product that I am super excited about. I saw this, so the gentleman that's selling them posted on one of the Gladiator Facebook pages this particular design, and it intrigued me, so I reached out to him, and he is starting up a business to sell them. So I talked with him a little bit about getting one early, because he doesn't quite have the website or anything up yet, but I talked to him about getting one early so I could test it out and try to get some reviews of it and let him know how it goes. And he bought the idea. I still paid for it. I did not get this for free, so this is not a bot review. I did pay for this product. So without any further ado, here we go. Haha! This is the Campone Unilift Combo. It is a camper shell. This particular one for the Gladiator, obviously, but he has some for the Tacomas and Tundras and a few other models on the way. It is a rooftop tent built into this camper shell, or this topper shell. And the selling point for me was it is the same, or almost the same height as the roof line of the truck. So this allows me to park in my 7-foot garage, or get through my 7-foot garage door to park in the garage. And if you've been following us for a while, you will know that has been a big hurdle for me. Is I want to park in the garage, but with 37s and a 3-inch lift, the Top Oak tent that I had sat too high, and I could not park in the garage. So this has solved that problem. Full disclosure, I don't have any weight in the back of the truck yet, so as it sits right now with the little bit of forward bias rake that I have with the crossbars, I still can't park in the garage. But when I get the drawers and all of my gear in here, it will squat the back end enough where I will be able to fit in the garage, and I won't have to remove the crossbars. But if you still can't fit in your garage, you can remove the crossbars and get a couple more inches of clearance. But it will work great, and I am super excited about this. It is an let's just go through it. It is an all aluminum build, and it is imported from China, just like almost everything is nowadays. I don't think you can find a rooftop tent on the market that is not imported from somewhere. All aluminum. It has side opening doors with lockable latches, and inside it has a little cubby where you can store things, and these cubbies are removable. You just have to undo the bolts, and the cubby is removable. And even on the inside of the door, if I get the lighting right here, it has these panels where you can mount things to. Those doors on each side, it comes with this mounting solution as well, so you can mount things to the outside. It has some integrated lift points, which were very handy when trying to get it in, or trying to use a lift to get it on the truck. The other side is pretty much the same thing, and when you open up, it's got a cubby in there as well. It's got some channel on the side here where you can mount accessories, lights, whatever, and same on the bottom. And then on the back, it's got a big MOLLE panel on the back, and you have to open up this to open your tailgate. I will show you that. We'll open this up, open the tailgate, and that is the inside. Like I said, it's all aluminum construction. It's 346 pounds, I think it is, which is not too shabby. It's a little bit lighter than what my previous setup was. And yeah, like I said, it allows me to fit in the garage. But I'm gonna put the phone on the tripod and we're gonna open this up so that you can see how it opens up and we can check out the tent. Now, full disclosure, my truck is kind of tall, so I need to get a step stool for the future when doing this so I don't almost fall off a tire, but we'll just do this the way I've got it now, and if I fall, then you get to see it and laugh. Set the ladder aside for now. These have little latches on them that lock the clamps closed. And then we just push it up, just like a regular cantilever tent. And then inside this storage are some support rods. Which I should have taken these out before I opened it, but it's all good. And these support rods actually slide into this channel. And then a channel on here. And they give you some good stability. I really like this. With my top oak tent, it didn't have anything like this. So what I would end up doing is I would always run a strap from my slider here up to the ladder, and then I would cinch it down a little bit so it was actually sturdy in place. But this is now sturdy in place. And the ladder obviously is removable. And we've got some spring clips here. We can just hook the ladder up to. And our ladder is in place. And one thing I want to point out about this ladder is it has the angled wide steps. So it is far more comfortable on your feet. That was one nice feature that surprised me when I opened all this up, is it has the nice angled wide steps. Inside, easier to get to on the side where I've got them right now. We've got our awning poles. They are pretty strong and pretty long. So they do take a little bit of effort to bend them up and attach them. And your door flap actually has a pole in the bottom to make it easier to roll up. Which is another feature that I was excited about because my top oak tent does not have that. we'll just tuck that one up for now. All right, let me grab the camera and show you inside. So just like any other cantilever tent, you get inside and you've got all this room. Wide angle. Got all this room in here. Big windows and a skylight window, which is hard plexiglass. So hopefully this window will not get all faded and start to yellow like so many of the other brands of tents do when they just have a flappy plastic clear window there. Unfortunately, you can't open that window, so you can't use it for airflow, but you'll actually be able to see through it. It also comes with this really nice shoe bag, which has a lot of storage and a nice big shoe pocket. And the design of it will actually keep water out, unlike a lot of the shoe bags that I've seen that will not actually keep water out. It's also got a little clip that came off there. Yeah, I am really excited about this. This is a great tent so far, and I haven't even used it yet. In the corners, we got some pockets for storing stuff, and then each side has a diesel heater port that has a screen on it. So if you have this thing open and you want to run a fan through it, you can, and then use the screen to keep bugs out, which I thought was really cool. And both sides have that screen on it. It's got one single hoop that is lockable for tension, so you can, if you need to loosen it or tighten it some more, you can. And then it has these automatic popping out, excuse my fingers there, the side awnings automatically fold out, and then if you don't want them out, you can pop this out of this little pocket, and then it can roll up and be tied up top, which is another cool feature. I do kind of wish it had the full awning for the window, but I think this will work out good as well. All right, I'm gonna climb down and then we'll show you from the inside. All right, now another one of the really cool features that I'm really excited about. This is a pass-through tent, which means as soon as I climb in here and don't knock myself out, I'm gonna put the phone down and do this. The floor opens up and you can stand up inside of this tent, which is super cool. You can do this with like the Go Fasts and the Lone Peaks and Alu cabs, but they extend over the cab of the truck, which then leaves the overall height, too high, too tall to park into a garage. But this one collapses down, the same height of the roof line of the truck, and it still offers a pass-through. And I'm what am I, 5'10", and I've got plenty of standing room in here. And yeah, this will be great. This is gonna be real cool. I'm really excited. I haven't actually stayed in it yet. Silas and I have a trip at the end of this month that we're going to Wyoming. And so we're going to run this through its paces and test every aspect of it. It's going to be cold. We'll probably get some rain. We'll get some warmth. So we'll test everything. One thing about it is there's no insulation in the top. So it's probably going to be a little loud in the rain. If you're like Silas and I, and you've been in the military and you've ever stayed in tin huts, when it rains, it's super loud. But I don't think it's going to be any louder than if it was, raining on the canvas itself. But there is no insulation in this, so it might get kind of loud. But otherwise, this material is real thick. real thick. Like this feels more durable than my top oak did. All of the seams are sealed and taped. Full blackout, so you close up the windows, everything, and it is pitch black in here. Yeah, again, this is super cool. Another one of the things that's really cool about it is you lose very, very, very little interior height in your bed compared to a regular cap. With my Rebel Off-Road half rack, it was 14 inches tall. I think it's 14 inches tall interior height, but I mean, I was probably here for interior height, and not that you can probably see how much that is in the video, but this is giving me a lot more interior height. I can actually sit in there and sit upright with the floors down in place. Yes, so this is it. This is the Campone Unilift Combo. Like I said, he does not have the website available yet, but he is hoping that it will be available in July. But if you're interested in one, he is taking orders and shipping them out. He has a shipment here in the States currently. I don't know how many he has total or how many he might have left, but this is one of the first ones to get sold and put on a truck. So if you're looking at them and you jump on it quickly, you might be in luck. Otherwise, he does have more shipments coming in July and in August. Okay, so now that we've talked about the tent, I want to go through some of the things that I like and some of the things that I'm not too keen on. Okay, so some of the things that I like is all the attachment points right and stuff, right? And the fact that it sits so low and it's all aluminum. These are things that are great. Another thing that I really like is this seal actually goes up against the back side of your tailgate, which is going to be a lot better for keeping water from, sneaking over this and then pooling up here and then falling inside or getting pushed inside while you're driving. So I think the back end, this stuff is going to seal way better than some of the other stuff that I've had. Some downsides, well, not necessarily downsides, but just some things that I've noticed so far. Okay, so the first thing was these. They were originally to where they opened up, and then when you do that, I could not get my finger in between this little handle ledge and this guy to get it open. So what I had to do is I had to get a plastic pry and pop this open, and then on the bottom side, you just undo this, and then you can flip that plastic housing around. So I did that on the back door, but the front or the side doors, that was not an issue. Another thing that I'm not super keen on, but I can mitigate it, and I'm going to talk to Campone about it, is these hinges, while they work great, and they're machined aluminum, they don't do much for keeping water out when you open the door. While this does have a real good channel inside to direct water around, and it's got a seal all around the edge, there's nothing there to stop water from running off of the door and down into the cabin. So whether you open the door and there's water already on the door, or it's raining, right, and it's going to hit this and it's just going to run down and inside, and that's definitely apparent with the back door. Not a big fan of that. That's why I use hurricane hinges on the caps that I've built, because it gives you a whole solid hinge all the way down, and you won't get any water coming through here. It'll all get directed off the sides. So I've got some ideas on how to mitigate that. Probably just going to be a thin piece of rubber that I will fix to this, like the top side. Let's see, the top side here, and then the top side of the door, and it'll make a U shape, and it'll stop water from running through there. Another downside to this particular design is you're not really going to have any place to mount an awning. You can mount it to the crossbars on the top, but then, you know, when it's closed up, you're driving down the road, it's going to be sitting, you know, 12 inches above the roof line of your truck. And then you would have to have some type of hinge system on here so that the awning was angled in the correct, you know, position in order to use it with the tent open. So running an awning on this design is going to be tough. Now, I don't use awnings that much because they're really a fair weather thing, and I don't like staking them down. If I don't have to have an awning out, I don't put an awning out. So I don't actually use them very often. What I am going to try is getting one of those moonshades. A friend of mine recommended the moonshade, and it's an awning that clips to the side of your truck, and it's got its own framing to, you know, to pop the material up, and then you still have to stake it down, but it's at least something that doesn't have to mount to the truck all the time, and I can take it off and put it on as I need it. So I might go with that route, but as far as this design itself, there's no real easy way to mount an awning. Beyond that, there's one more thing, which is another thing that I have to reach out to Camp One about, but the way that this mounts into your truck, you've got, well, UPS is here. We're gonna put this on pause. Okay, UPS just dropped off a coil spring insulator for the old beater car here, because, you know, take a look at the wheel gap on that side, and then this side we have no wheel gap because my front spring broke and it is now sitting on the wheel well. So I got a spring on the way, and this is the insulator for it. But anyways, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the way this mounts into your truck, close this tailgate, is you've got a channel up here that this bolt, you know, slides into, and then obviously you've got your accessory rail here that your bolts slide into. But these bolts, these mounting points are not all quite long enough to actually get threads into the nylock or the nylon part of these nylock nuts. So they could be about a 1/4 inch longer. They come with a washer, and I was not able to use the washer because the bolts weren't long enough. So I'm gonna talk with Camp One about that and just say, hey, these really should be about a 1/4 inch longer, especially since everybody, you know, folks are gonna have different accessory rails. And if you don't have an accessory rail, then you can use just regular like topper clamps. And then in the front, zoom in here, it's just a piece that goes across and it bolts into where your, right there, where your accessory rail would bolt into. And I don't have a front accessory rail, so I don't have one up there obviously, so I just bolted it right to the same spot anyways. But yeah, that's those few things, like the water intrusion through your pivot point where your doors are, flipping these guys around, and then those bolts being a little too short are kind of really the only, you know, things that I've had to figure out so far. And like I said, the awning is what it is. You're just not going to be able to easily use an awning with this this design. Also, your wiring for your third brake light and then your clearance markers on here. Not that they're really going to show a whole heck of a lot for clearance, but you know, it's just the wiring's there for those. All right, I don't think I can think of much else to talk about with it. Like I said, we got our trip coming up to Wyoming, the Bighorn Mountains in Wyoming, here in a couple weeks, and we will give it a real good test and review while doing that. Beyond that, yeah, like I said, super excited. If you want to look at these some more, I can get you in contact with the guy that is selling them. His name is Rosin. He is located in the Charlotte area of South Carolina, and I can get you in contact with him. I think the list price for these, now don't quote me to the exact dollar, but it's just shy of $6,000. It's like $59.80 or $58.90, something along those lines. That's a steal, in my opinion, especially when you start looking at the prices of like Go Fast campers, the Lone Peaks, Alu cabs, shoot, even OVS, Overland Vehicle Systems, their camper cap, their camper shell rooftop tent system is $10,000. That is expensive, especially for folks that don't, you know, we're doing this as a hobby, right? We need to get back to these hobby prices, man. I can't justify putting a $10,000 tent on my truck when we don't, you know, live in it full time, whatever. And even at $6,000, it's still a chunk of money. But with this one, you're at least getting the shell and the tent, and you're keeping the overall height profile down low enough so you can fit in your 7-foot garages still, as long as you're not on 40s and a 4-inch lift. Yeah, so that's it. That's what I wanted to talk about. That's my exciting news. Next big steps are to get the drawers in that I've been working on, and I'll show those, you know, when that time comes. And then yeah, start dialing in the setup, because I think this is probably going to be the final shelter system on my truck for a good while. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you got any questions, just reach out. Thanks, guys.